wedding.
Good morning and welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for this Tuesday, March 14th. For introductions, my name is Todd Wilchin. I am the chair of the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners. On my left, Commissioner Jennifer Brinkman. Next to me on my left is Commissioner Deb Shore. On the far right will be Commissioner Roma Amundsen. The vice chair, Commissioner Bill Avery, should be here momentarily. He had a meeting with the mayor, and he's running a few minutes late. With the county attorney's office, we have Mr. Dave Durbin. From the county clerk's office, we have the chief deputy, Corey Beatty, as well as Kelly Lundgren. And then the chief administrative officer for the county board is Mr. Kerry Egan. If you'd please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Corey, if you'd please start the agenda.
Sure. Before we begin, I would like to announce that a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. These materials can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, March 7th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the Board of Commissioners meeting held last Tuesday, March 7th. Any discussion or corrections? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundsen,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item 2 is approval of all claims processed through March 14th, 2017.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve all claims processed through March 14th. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundsen,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item 3 is a special presentation recognition of Brent Meyer for receiving the Nebraska Weed Control Association Superintendent of the Year Award for 2016.
Come on up, Mr. Meyer.
Well, good morning, and thank you.
First, I want to thank the Nebraska Weed Control Association for recognizing the work we do in Lancaster County. You know, this award has my name on it, but really the county board, and I brought my staff with me this morning, Pat Dugan and Jasmine are back here. And I was told a long time ago that when you hire people, surround yourself with good people and they'll make you look good. And that's definitely what my staff does for me. So thanks to the Weed Control Association. Always nice to be recognized by your peers on the work that you do, but I don't do it alone, so thank you.
Well, Brett, I think the county board would say the exact same thing about hiring the right people and having them make us look good, and we feel that way about you. I know you and I haven't had a long time to work together, but I'm impressed with the dedication you and your staff have for the work that you do that is very critical to our county, so congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Meyer, if you want to come on up. Sorry, I just wanted, I mean, I think, you know, the award actually does, demonstrate about your service to the county, but also the leadership that you have in the field of weed control for the state. I know that a lot of the other counties do look towards Lancaster County and your service in your department on a number of issues. And so I think it's a worthwhile recognition of your work, your career, and as well as your staff. Commissioner
And
Shore.
as you say, weeds don't stop at the county line and weeds don't stop at the state line. So I know you also look to on a regional basis and have really fostered partnerships with different federal and state entities to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of controlling weeds and doing what we can to maintain those high property values for our constituents. So thank you.
Well, and thank you to the county board for your support, because without you, we can't have the creative ideas that we have and to be able to share those on a statewide level. So, you know, I've been doing this since 1991, but this is really the first board that's really let us think outside the box and get creative with weed control, and we can, so.
Commissioner Amundson.
Yeah, and I just was going to mention, you know, I know that you have put on different seminars, I guess what you call for the different smaller communities within Lancaster County. They've been very, very, very well attended and so forth. And, you know, the one thing that's really key about you is your enthusiasm concerning the field, because that just is so evident, and that goes through, you know, you can see it and it spreads.
Well, thank
You
you.
do a great job. I like your play clean, go.
Play clean, go, yep.
Commissioner Avery.
We do appreciate what you do, but that may not mean a new truck.
One of these days, one of these years,
All right, well, thank you.
when the 86 truck no longer works.
Item number 4 is a public hearing. It's a public hearing regarding the proposed sale of a vacated portion of West Meinke Street in the unincorporated village of Kramer, Lancaster County, Nebraska.
Okay, I will go ahead and open this public hearing regarding the proposed sale of the vacated portion of West Minky Street in the unincorporated village of Kramer. Is there anyone in the audience here to testify in support of this item? In opposition or in the neutral capacity? Okay. Hearing none, I will go ahead and close this public hearing, and we can move on to the correlating item.
Under new business, item 5A is a resolution regarding the proposed sale of a vacated portion of West Meinke Street, which includes declaring that the property no longer serves a county purpose, determining the fair market value, and setting the date for sale of the property.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution regarding the proposed sale of the vacated portion of West Minky Street. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5B is a resolution in the matter of recognizing March 27th through the 31st, 2017 as Severe Weather Awareness Week and April 1st, 2017 as Central Plains Severe Weather Symposium and Storm Spotter Appreciation Day.
Good morning, Mr. David Saver.
Good morning. Jim Davis, Saver Director, Lincoln Lancaster County Emergency Management. I certainly appreciate the board taking this resolution out to increase everyone's awareness of severe weather. I think we really did a very good job of getting out in front of this last year, formalizing the statewide tornado drill, and I want to take that and the next couple of steps this year. We designed this sign last year and had it readily available. The 100 copies that I had were up. In fact, a couple of them are displayed just outside the meeting room here to guide people in case of severe weather. They know a good shelter location for them. So as I said, last year we had over 900 county and city employees from 41 different departments and divisions participate. So I'm hoping for that level of participation again this year. I modified the form that we used. It's the same basic form, but this year when I rolled it out, I converted it to a PDF fillable form. So everybody who has a department point person to organize their department's participation in this, it'll really only take them a couple of minutes to fill it out, and as soon as the drill is over, the report form should be complete. So we should, again, as I said, get that level of participation. I also modified it slightly and reached out to the schools throughout the county. I know they formally participate in the drill. This year I'm asking them to fill out a report as well. So students, staff, any visitors that they may have in the building. Something else I wanted to note is the Severe Weather Symposium is Saturday, April 1st, and this year for the first time it'll be held at the university's Innovation Campus. In the past it's always been held on East Campus, and it's kind of outgrown that space there. So Dr. Ken Dewey and his staff being able to take advantage of the added space of the Innovation Campus, it really should be another incredible event. It's always a very significant draw. This year, we will not be competing with the Nebraska red-white game. In the past couple of years, we've gone in direct competition with them. Hopefully, people prefer weather over football. We'll wait and see. But as I said, we expect another big event this year. As I said, the statewide tornado drill will be Wednesday, March 29th. Mock watch issued at 10 a.m. with a warning to follow at 10:30.
Any questions for Mr. David Saver? The one question I had, and it kind of comes back to the awareness component of it, I think we were reminded of this a few weeks ago. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, essentially, severe weather is possible in Nebraska year-round.
Yes.
I mean, we've had tornadic activity even in the winter months.
Correct. In fact, a severe thunderstorm occurred throughout Lancaster County on Christmas Day. So again, it's one of those things where just that basic awareness, the technology, the National Weather Service with the predictive ability they have shouldn't come as a surprise. Severe weather shouldn't sneak up on us. So in that regard, we want to be ever mindful of it. And you are exactly right. Severe weather can occur any time of day, any day of the week, any month of the year. But that's why I'm paying attention to it. So,
Any other questions or comments for Mr. David Saver?
I'll move approval of the resolution.
Second.
oh, and I had also drafted a press release as part of this process, again, just to put that information out to everybody. When it comes to severe weather awareness, I don't want it to be a secret. I want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. So I had drafted a press release, submitted to Mr. Egan ahead of time for review, and we have that ready for release with your permission.
Commissioner Amundson?
Is that something that we can put on the county website?
I think so. I had spoken to Minette about releasing it, but it's readily available.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution recognizing March 27th through 31st as the Severe Weather Awareness Week and April 1st, 2017 as the Central Plains Severe Weather Symposium and Storm Spotter Appreciation Day. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5C is a special designated license applications from Hillcrest Country Club at 9401 O Street, Lincoln, Nebraska, for events to be held on May 7th, May 14th, May 28th, June 4th, June 11th, June 18th, July 2nd, July 30th, August 6th, August 27th, September 3rd, and October 1st, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the special SDL applications for Hillcrest Country Club. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5D is setting the annual salary for Mark Harraher, Deputy Public Defender, in the amount of $61,813.44 as an Attorney 1, effective April 10th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the annual salary for Mark Carher. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5E is First Amendment to County Contract C-16-0606 and restatement of irrevocable pledge agreement between Bryan Hospital and Lancaster County for property generally located at 2201 South 17th Street, Lincoln, Nebraska, to encompass the resolution of ownership of portions of Lot 8 of the subject property.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the First Amendment to the county contract and the restatement of irrevocable pledge agreement between Bryan Hospital and Lancaster County. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5F is an agreement with Christopher Jobman to provide psychoeducational class instruction to participants of Lancaster County's pretrial diversion program through Lancaster County Community Corrections. The county shall pay $20 per hour, not to exceed 20 hours per week for the services provided. Term of the agreement is March 15th, 2017 through June 30th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Christopher Jobman for psychoeducational class instruction. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5G is a contract with Zachariah Siddiqui to provide psychiatrist services at the Mental Health Crisis Center for the period of March 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2017. Cost to the county is $650 per 24-hour coverage period.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Zachary Siddiqui for psychiatrist services at the Mental Health Crisis Center. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5H is an amendment to County Contract C-15-0175 with the Bridge to provide substance abuse evaluations and abuse education classes for inmates in the custody of the Lancaster County Jail. The amendment extends the term through February 28th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to the county contract with the Bridge for substance abuse evaluations and abuse education classes. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5I is an agreement with Nebraska Wesleyan University to establish an internship program at the Youth Services Center. Term of the agreement is from January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Nebraska Wesleyan University to establish an internship program at the Youth Services Center. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5J is an offer to the Cornhusker Marriott Hotel to provide meeting room and services for the Lancaster County Employee Recognition Breakfast on May 25th, 2017, including catering and service fees. The cost to the county is $17.08 per attendee.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the offer with the Cornhusker Marriott Hotel to provide meeting room and services for the Lancaster County Employee Recognition Breakfast. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5K is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award a contract to Straight Line Striping for pavement striping. The cost to the county is $214,990.
Good morning, Ms. Dingman.
Good morning. Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. So I have put up on the overhead a exhibit, and I'm gonna just kind of shift it since we don't, that shows all the striping that we intend to do with this contract. You may remember that last year, the striping contract was something that we couldn't put out for bid because we had to use that money for repair of the flood damages. So this year's striping contract is a little larger than, well, a lot larger than last year, but about $100,000 more than previous years because we're trying to get caught up. In addition to that, my department has spent some time studying striping and studying paint thickness and paint widths on the stripes. To meet the code, the stripes can either be 4, 5, or 6 inches. We've determined that 5 inches, especially in our rural areas, gives a lot more reflectivity and it makes them a lot easier to see. In addition, we've determined that if you put the paint on just a little thicker, it stays longer. And so what we're hoping is to get a lot more life out of this, this striping project. And then in addition to that, to create safer conditions for Lancaster County residents on our roads.
Any questions for Ms. Dingman? I would entertain a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to award the contract to Straight Line Striping for pavement striping. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5L is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award a contract to Rush Creek Construction, Inc. for pipe culvert maintenance. The cost to the county is $802,257.42.
Pam Dimon, Lancaster County Engineer. Last year, sadly, also, we had to eliminate our pipe maintenance program from the budget in order to correct flood damages. With this project, I just want to note that it came in about $300,000 under my engineer's estimate. We had 6 bids. I think there's separation between the 2 lowest bids of about $5,000. Rush Creek is a new contractor. We actually became familiar with them because they did help us with some of our FEMA damage repair at the bridges around Lancaster County. They did an excellent job, and so we are excited to have a new contractor in the area to help us with this project. In addition to that, though, I want to mention that this project is really the culmination of a lot of special projects at Lancaster County. The first of which is we began the project 2 years ago to inspect all 6,900 of our pipe culverts. We did not have a culvert inspection program. As of last week, we finished that program. What will that allow us to do? All of those pipes have been put into an access database so that they can be sorted and determine what pipes have the highest need to be replaced. In addition to that, we've also done a lot of studies on pipes and pipe exit velocities. I know this seems like a really nerdy topic on a snowy Tuesday morning, but the reality is that as engineers, we know if we can slow down the exit velocity through a pipe, that we can preserve the area around the pipe from erosion, and we can dramatically reduce the amount of work that is required around that pipe in the future. So that is what we've done with this project. We're excited to get it in the ground. We have really modernized our pipe program, and so it's an exciting day.
Are there any questions for Ms. Dingman?
Let's move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award a contract to Rush Creek Construction, Inc. for pipe culvert maintenance. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5M is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award a contract to Outback Fence and Stain for chain link fence installation at 5 sites. The cost to the county is $92,503.
Last year, during budget time, I brought forward my concerns to the board that our rock piles and our material areas were not fenced in. This was not a safe condition for the citizens of Lancaster County and created a dramatic liability issue for us. And so, what we're bringing forward is not fencing in all of the rock piles, but fencing in the first 5 of the rock piles. And so this is the contract to fence in the first 5 piles. We had initially estimated this job at being somewhere between $120,000 and $140,000. The bid came in at 92, so we're kind of excited to have that bid be a little lower than we estimated also, and we're excited to have the opportunity to protect the citizens of Lancaster County.
Any questions for Ms. Stingman?
When will this be put in?
As soon as weather conditions allow.
Weather conditions, okay. Move approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award a contract to Outback Fence and Stain for chain link fence installation at 5 sites. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5N is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award contracts to R.L. Tiemann, Lyman Ritchie Corporation, Buell Trucking, and Westover Rock and Sand for the supply and hauling of gravel surface coarse material. The total cost to the county is $500,497.50.
So, 3 years ago, I changed the process by which we truck our gravel to the various sites around the county. You may notice on the overhead, the sites we truck it to. The reason we truck it to various sites is so that it's easy to go get for our operators. The other thing is that, as with the other contracts I brought forward, this year's contract has more rock in it because we're replacing the rock that we used up to repair the roads during the flooding of 2015. So if you drive by our rock piles like Emerald right now, you may notice that there's no white rock in Emerald. If you drive by Raymond, you may notice that what was once a giant pile of rock, it now looks like it could fit in a couple pickup trucks. So this contract is, I believe, $18 under what our engineering estimate was, and I really need to get going with getting some rock for this spring.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award contracts to R.L. Tiemann, Lyman Ritchie Corporation, Buell Trucking, and Westover Rock and Sand for the supply of and hauling of gravel surface coarse material. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5O is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award a purchase order to Simline, Inc. for 1 heated rubberized asphalt crack sealing machine. The total cost to the county is $43,402.
This is a machine that we included in the budget last year. We use it for crack sealing. Our old machine had a lot of problems and it just really was falling apart. And so what we intend to do in the next year is aggressively maintain our asphalt assets that we have in Lancaster County. This machine will help us do that. It has a tank that holds 230 gallons of rubberized material, as well as a heated hose system so that that material is nice and hot when we put it down so that we can get the longest life possible out of it.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award a purchase order to Simline, Inc. for 1 heated rubberized asphalt crack sealing machine. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5P is a recommendation from the Purchasing Department and County Engineer to award a purchase order to Falcon Equipment Holdings LLC for 1 Falcon asphalt dump trailer and accessories. The total cost to the county is $58,988.
So Falcon Equipment makes a machine that is on a trailer. What happens to us in the county is we go get a truckload of asphalt, and by the time we drive it out to the location, which often can be 30, 40 minutes away from where we picked it up, that asphalt isn't as hot as it was anymore. So this is a machine that has the ability to keep the asphalt hot and to dump it where we need. And you may recall that last year we had a lot of problems on South 40th Street where we had a large piece of it disintegrate. And we really needed to get a lot of asphalt out to that site in a short period of time. And it was extraordinarily difficult for us. We had other slab failures last year, but this is a machine that, in addition to being able to keep the asphalt product hot, has the ability to recycle asphalt. And so you may drive around town and see these huge, hideous piles of asphalt, but the reality is that we now have the technology that once the asphalt is milled off the surface, we can keep it and we can add a new emulsifier to it, thus recycling the asphalt, which is a really good idea. This machine gives us the ability to recycle in small batches, 6 tons, asphalt, and place it back down on the county right away. I'm super excited about it. This machine is bought with savings that we received from purchasing the Caterpillar motor graders this year.
Any questions for Ms. Stingman? Entertain a motion.
With that exciting explanation, I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award a purchase order contract to Falcon Equipment Holdings LLC for one Falcon asphalt dump trailer and accessories. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5Q are contracts with the following to provide the annual supply of craft and hobby supplies. Terms of the contracts are 1 year from the date of execution. These include Fun Express LLC in an amount not to exceed $500, Lakeshore Learning Materials in an amount not to exceed $5,000, NASCO in an amount not to exceed $5,000, and School Specialty in an amount not to exceed $5,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contracts to provide the annual supply of craft and hobby supplies. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Excuse me. 5R is an amendment to County Contract C-15-0199 with Midwest Floor Covering, Inc. for floor coverings. The amendment renews the contract from March 1st, 2017 through February 28th, 2018. The estimated cost of the county is not to exceed $10,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the contract with Midwest Floor Covering, Inc. for floor coverings. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5S is an amendment to County Contract C-13-0550 with Rochester Armored Car for the annual requirements of armored car services. The expenditures for this contract will increase by $15,000 for the remainder of the contract term for a revised total amount of $26,500.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to the county contract with Rochester Armored Car for the annual requirements of armored car services. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5T is a grant contract amendment with Lux Center for the Arts to reduce the amount of county contract C-17-0107 to $3,090 due to a 45% reduction in funding by the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. Term of the grant contract is July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant contract amendment with the Lux Center for the Arts to reduce the amount of the county contract to $3,090 due to a 45% reduction in funding by the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. 5U is a grant contract amendment with Child Guidance Center to modify the source of funding for County Contract C-16-0659 to include Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice, Community-Based Juvenile Services Aid, State Grants, number 15-CB-0506, and number 16-CB-0523. Term of the grant contract is July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant contract amendment with the Child Guidance Center to modify the source of funding for County Contract C-160659 to include Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Community-Based Juvenile Services Aid to State Grants. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5V is a settlement agreement and release of claims with Thomas Bowen.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the settlement agreement and release of claims with Thomas Bowen. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next are consent items. These are receive and place on file the following reports for February 2017, the Assessor Register of Deeds and Records and Information Management. Also includes utility permits with the following. Number 1515, allowing Windstream Nebraska, Inc. to replace defective underground cable from South 70th Street and Travis Drive, east for approximately 1,000 linear feet. There is no cost to the county. Permit number 1517, allowing Lincoln Electric System to install vacant underground plastic conduit in 3 locations, including crossing West Calvert Street just west of South First Street, crossing West Pioneers Boulevard, then north on Southwest 9th Street, and crossing West Burnham Street at 1111 West Burnham. There is no cost to the county. Permit number 1518, allowing Lincoln Electric System to install vacant underground plastic conduit in 3 locations, crossing Green Acres Boulevard west of South Coddington Avenue, west along the north side of unpaved Green Acres Boulevard, and crossing Southwest 23rd Street and West Van Dorn Street. There is no cost to the county. And the last one is permit number 1519, allowing Lincoln Electric System to install vacant conduit in an area bounded by Southwest 56th Street and West A Street to Southwest 47th Street and West Mulberry Street. Again, there is no cost to the county.
Move approval of the consent items. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Please continue.
Seeing no one, we'll move forward to announcements. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, March 16th, 2017 at 8:30 a.m. in the Bill Luxford Studio of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold their next regular meeting on Tuesday, March 21st, 2017 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building, with the Lancaster County Board of Equalization immediately following. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will tour the motor vehicles facility at 500 West O Street on Tuesday, March 21st at 11 a.m. The county commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live. It is rebroadcast on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays on 5 City TV, cable channel 5. In addition, the meeting can also be viewed on the internet at lancaster.ne.gov under 5 City TV Video on Demand or 5 City TV on YouTube.
Move we adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
That concludes the county board meeting. We'll go ahead and move along to the Board of Equalization meeting.
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff. These materials can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, February 21st, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, February 21st. Any discussion or corrections? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2 are additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is public hearing on motor vehicle tax exemption applications for Catholic Social Services, First Evangelical Free Church, Homestead Presbytery, Lutheran Family Services of Nebraska, Inc., the Lux Center for the Arts, and Northern Lighthouse.
Okay, we will go ahead and open this public hearing for the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Anyone in the audience here to speak in support of these applications, in opposition, or in the neutral capacity? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing for the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Item 4 is action on motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Move approval of the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the motor vehicle tax exemption applications. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 5 is an appeal of personal property penalty for sensory effects serial system.
Good morning, Mr. Gaines.
Good morning, Scott Gaines, Deputy Assessor, Register of Deeds. Recommending denial of this appeal. As we frequently have, the personal property penalties, when the personal property return is filed late, there's a mandatory statutory penalty that's applied. The board's authority to adjust those penalties is restricted to if the penalty was wrongly imposed or incorrectly calculated. The taxpayer in their letter does allege that there was a miscalculation of the penalty. We don't believe there was. County Attorney's Office is in agreement with our position on that portion of it, so we're recommending denial. It was the circumstances that lead to a late filing are essentially irrelevant in the statute. If it's late, it's late. Penalties are required, and leniency is only available under the circumstances that I described.
Are there any questions for Mr. Gaines? Is there anyone else here to discuss this issue? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Greg Russell with Sensory Effects. And I'm here about the appeal, and there were a couple points I didn't point out in the letter that I wanted to make that I think are relevant to the situation. And those being what was just mentioned. But effectively that I feel like this filing is basically should be an automatic filing, and that with Nebraska Revised Statute 77-1233.04 sub 1, that, if I can read from that. If a taxpayer fails or refuses to file a personal property return, the assessor shall, on behalf of the taxpayer, file a personal property return which shall list and value all the taxpayer's tangible personal property at net book value. So what I'm basically saying here is it seems like this should be an automatic filing. If our company missed this filing, that it should be automatically done by the county. in that respect. And when we first got our tax statement, it showed zero taxable value. Yet, I don't believe that was true. And yet, when you go on the site, even as late as yesterday still, on their form, it has the pre-filled form from the prior year available on the site. So that is the form that I feel like should have been submitted initially for that filing. The other thing I would say is the failure to sign. So if the state is also, or the county is also required to, if a taxpayer fails to sign the form, the filing, the return, I should say, the personal property return, the state is, or the county is required to notify the taxpayer in writing of the failure to sign. And upon that, if the taxpayer fails to sign it upon that, then it's considered valid. But not until that taxpayer has been notified in writing. And that is also something that the county didn't do, that didn't happen. So, those are basically the points I guess I'd like to make. And the other item is, based on this penalty too of the value added versus the difference, if the form had been filed, the value added from the prior year, excuse me for a moment. The prior year's amount of the $35,000 taxable amount, so up to the $55,000 in different dollars from now. I mean, that is the true value of the value added. And if this is based on the entire return, it doesn't seem logical that this could apply. Because so if a taxpayer omits something or accidentally corrects a return for a nominal dollar amount, based on what this says then, I mean, and if you're a larger taxpayer than our company, your penalty is going to be up, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, ours is nearly $14,000, and it just doesn't seem to follow based on that. The other thing is, we didn't miss a payment, so the county didn't miss out on getting money or anything like that. If the taxpayer, didn't pay our bill that's due April 1st and August 1st, and we waited till next January to pay this, our penalty, or our interest, is only going to be $4,900. Yet the penalty for this, this filing is nearly $14,000. So, those are basically the points I wanted to point out. But, as I said, I mean, if the taxpayer can't make a mistake and is held to something, the county also failed in two of the items that I see in here that weren't done. The filing wasn't done by the county because it was shown at zero taxable value, and yet this form is still available online. And then the other thing is, we weren't notified in writing of the failure to sign a form to have the signature on there. And it doesn't become, as I mentioned, the return doesn't become valid until that taxpayer was notified in writing.
Okay. Are there any questions for Commissioner Avery?
Could you explain why you were late?
Honest to God, it was, an honest mistake. And to be honest, when in October, I received a call from Jill Cook, and at that time, I had asked her to email me some information, and I was waiting on that, and we since found out later on that the county couldn't email me any information. So when we went to file our return, when we did file it, and I emailed her back a form, then I got a bounce back from the county saying, is this an approved site? But that at time, I couldn't receive any other email. So she contacted me in October, and I guess that would be my other point is, what would be the reason for contacting me at all if there's no responsibility on the county or whatever else? But, as I told Jill then, I said, I wasn't receiving an email. So she ended up having to fax whatever information that we ended up getting. But to your point, it was an honest mistake. But I say that in the same way. If we have an honest mistake, and our company's investing in this county, why is it that the county, makes mistakes and then there's nothing, held there?
Mr. Gaines?
I guess at first I would say I don't believe the county has made any mistakes or errors. The reporting of personal property is absolutely 100% self-reported. All of the allegations that Mr. Russell made regarding the county's failure are always, like for instance, the first sentence he quoted out of there, out of context, that is when a return is filed, our job is to make sure that each item is at its net book value. If you read down further, if a taxpayer fails or refuses to file a return, then the assessor, we can basically file a return on their behalf. Well, we're grabbing numbers out of the air. It's their responsibility to give us the information. The language about the signature, it's not valid until it's signed, that is specific when a taxpayer files a return but neglects to sign it. Basically, they give us the information, they didn't autograph it. When that happens, we notify them, hey, we got this, you didn't sign it. Is it your intent that this is your filing, or did someone just give us this? That's what that specific, that's always after the taxpayer has submitted something to us. In the case when we don't receive a filing period from a taxpayer, it's late. The zero amount, I'm not sure what that's all about. The presence of the return on the website. As a courtesy, absolute 100% courtesy, we provide the last year's filing, so it makes it easier for the taxpayers to grab what they had reported last year, add new acquisitions, remove any delinquent or any disposed assets. So with that, any further question? None of the information there changes my perspective, and Dave can respond as well.
Well, I have two questions.
Mine's short.
I'll go with Commissioner Short.
The fines and fees that we impose, they are not returned to the county? Do they go to the schools, or do they go back to the county?
The
Any penalty fees?
penalties collected by the treasurer and are distributed like taxes in the same proportion.
Commissioner Avery.
County Attorney, how would you respond to his recitation of his case, in particular his reference to current law?
Under 77-1233.06, it's pretty clear that the County Board of Equalization has very limited powers in responding to any of these allegations. As long as the penalty was correctly imposed, the board has no power to waive the penalty. And I agree with Mr. Gaines that the penalty was correctly imposed in this instance.
I think the gist of this is there's an annual filing that's required. When we don't get a return for a particular year, it doesn't just default automatically back to say, oh, well, they reported that last year, so they must still have all that equipment. Every year is a new return, and if there's no return filed, then when they do file, you're starting from zero because this is the first information that's been given at that point in time. Here's what happens frequently. A taxpayer would call us and say, hey, we've got these change in personnel. We're having a tough time putting together our information. We would say you need to file the best you can by the 1st of May. That'll avoid penalties on that portion. So if they had filed, for instance, the courtesy return and said, yeah, all these items, we still have them. We've got some additional stuff. We're not sure there. They would have submitted that to us by May 1. No penalties, obviously. Then when they realize, okay, now here's what we really have, any of that incremental value would be subject to the appropriate penalty. So there's a way to get around it if you've got my tax preparer is in the hospital, or any of those types of things. There's ways. But when we receive 0 by July 1, and we go to great lengths to send postcards to remind folks, make phone calls. I have no idea why the emails that we provided, again, which are 100% courtesy to try and avoid situations like this, why they didn't reach, if they've got a spam filter similar to what the county has, that's possible. But I can't explain that. But regardless, even if there's no responsibility on the county to go to that length to notify them that we haven't received the return, we do it to avoid situations just like this.
Well, and that leads to my question, which is, and you pointed out, it makes you sound, I mean, your argument was somehow that the county should know what personal property that your companies either acquired or disposed of during the year. And because of the courtesy form that they provide from the filing form from the previous year, I mean, I guess, it's just like personal federal income tax and state income taxes. It's a voluntary process, but if you don't file, the entity, in this case the county, just like the federal government, will go ahead and file a return for you based on the information it has. So I guess that's my question is, how do you?
That's what I'm saying. It would file a return for you, and based on that, and
But in doing so, they would assess fines, both failing to file and failing to pay penalties.
yeah, and that's where I don't agree with, once again, of the value added of this amount. And that's where if there was a change, then based on this law, even if he's saying that, there's circumstances that are made for this, well, if you're going by the law, then any company that would submit any change would have their entire taxable value charged the penalty to. And that just logically doesn't apply. If you're adding equipment of $1,000 or some small amount, yet you could have a penalty which could be, well, in our case, tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands. The other point that he had mentioned was about the failure to sign, and then he said that they send out letters in that. We've never gotten a letter like this. In the last couple of years, we haven't.
Well, and I appreciate
Signed.
I appreciate
so-
that argument,
yeah.
but I'd like to get back to the subject at
Certainly.
hand, which is what actually happened in this situation, which you did not file a return in a timely manner. And so, for whatever reason, which, that's ultimately what we're here for.
Correct, and that's where I go back to 1233.04, where I believe it says, if a taxpayer fails to file a personal property return, the assessor shall, on behalf of the taxpayer, file a personal property return, which shall list and value all the taxpayer's tangible taxable personal property.
Yeah,
And I can explain the logic there is, if we're having this conversation and we're still calling them and they say, hey, stick it, we ain't filing. That's the responsibility then because we don't have the information needed to file that. If there's a taxpayer that basically refuses to file,
it's a substitute return,
exactly.
and that's,
It's a backdoor penalty, if you will, that we can file and
most taxpayers would not like that.
Right.
Because, but.
In my 15 years here, we've done that once.
Based upon the information.
Sorry, Commissioner Avery has a question.
You said that you made an honest mistake.
Yes.
Did you just ignore the requirement to file? Did you not know about it? Have you filed in the past?
No, to be completely honest, we've known about the May 1st thing. We had changes in the department, and we were actually going through a Nebraska sales and use tax audit, and I'm being honest when I said, it didn't get done in that respect, but.
Was it intentional?
Oh, definitely not. Our company's investing. We employ about 150 people out at Air Park. There was none of that, and our books are open, to whatever. But like I said, I still think if a state law is a state law, but it's okay for the county not to send something for signatures, that's not valid, yet he said it was done. That wasn't done.
I want to clarify again on this signature. What he's referring to is a statute that says when a return is filed,
Right.
didn't happen in this case, when a return is filed and it lacks the signature, that's the specific circumstance regarding the statute he's referring to. When you file a return and you forget to sign it, there's procedures for us to notify them that because that prevents someone from filing a bogus return essentially, without an autograph. That's the specific. So
Well-
to allege that we made an error in that regard is inaccurate.
Actually,
And I would follow up with a question for the county attorney, which is, I mean, are there provisions in the state law? I think you've already answered the question in a different way, but, you know, if a taxpayer makes a mistake and fails to file a timely return, are there provisions in statute, state statute, would allow us to waive the penalties for that?
No, sir.
And then it
Well-
comes back to the question is.
No, but-
What is permissible under state law? And regardless of whether or not it was an intentional act or it was a omission, I mean, the fact is that we're kind of bound by the state law.
okay, I understand, bound by the state laws. What I'm saying is, when he just said, we filed our return now, 2 months ago, we never got a notice saying it wasn't signed. We didn't get a notice for the prior year saying that wasn't signed.
Because
And-
when we did receive the return, I believe it was signed, and so
That's not accurate, and we never got a notice.
So,
And so-
are you alleging that you don't have a return filed at this time?
No, we filed the return. That's why we've gotten
Okay.
these billing. But what I'm saying is, according to the state law, which you want to hold us to, by that same state law, the county did not send in writing a notice for our failure to sign the form.
But based on the information from the
And the
county
prior year.
assessor's office is that the returns have been signed. So are you
But
alleging that you didn't sign them?
I am stating for a fact, because I know for the last 2 years, we emailed those. And there wasn't a form signed. So I'd like the county attorney to speak on this, if perhaps.
Okay.
I'm not aware of the facts. I would have to see the signature and see the form, so I can't really speak to the facts on this.
Mr. Gaines?
what we would have received would have been scanned copies of the returns sent via email, which is perfectly legitimate. Those returns have signatures on them.
Okay.
They also had emails, and that's how we tried to provide reminders in addition to the phone calls we made. So the signature element that he speaks is purely for the purpose of a return that is submitted to us without a valid signature. Any returns we've received from this company have had valid signatures.
Actually, he's incorrect about that, because I know for this past return and the year before, I know there were no signatures on those returns, and we never got anything in writing, yet he's stating that it had valid signatures. So I would ask him to prove that it had valid signatures.
And let me, again, I don't have all of the historical stuff, and that's irrelevant. If, in fact, this year's return did not contain a signature on it, the point is it's still late. And if we need to follow up with some notification that we received your return, it's late, here's your penalty, and oh, by the way, you didn't sign it, we will do that. I'm not aware of a lack of a signature on that return, but if it is, it's not pertinent to the penalty discussion that we're having right now.
Actually, it is, because it's a violation of state law on your behalf, and if we would have gotten notice, then we could, file a difference of that.
It still would be late, and we would just be having this discussion down the road because the return then would not be filed. I mean, I think that.
So once again, I go back to, it's okay for the county not to follow the state law, but not the taxpayer.
Okay,
Again,
I
it's still
think
not-
we've had an opportunity to educate you, and unfortunately, you're not accepting that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner
I
Short.
will make a motion that we deny the appeal of personal property from Sensory Effects Serial System based upon the simple fact that the return was filed late and the appropriate penalty was assessed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the appeal of the personal property penalty from Sensory Effects Serial Systems. Any discussion? Commissioner Avery?
We are barred by state law from accepting this, right?
From waiving it.
That would be tantamount to waiving the penalty.
I can read the statute exactly what the board's powers are.
I'll take your analysis. I mean,
The power of the board is limited to correcting penalties that were incorrectly calculated or wrongly imposed, and we haven't heard anything
or
to that
wrongly
effect.
imposed.
Wrongly imposed.
So
Again,
it-
here,
it-
if,
it-
if there's a gotcha moment that I submitted this form without having it signed, then basically this would just kick this down the road if it was not finalized, and they're still gonna have the same penalty as before. But there's nothing for honest mistake, unfortunately, in the statute, and that's why the board's powers are strictly limited.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to County Board of Equalization business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Brinkman,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.